All right, everybody, welcome to Simply Bitcoin, the channel that breaks down all the daily Bitcoin news, meme review, software releases, cringy daily fails. We've got it all. And today, we've got an extra special guest from the Bitcoin community, none other than Guy Swann, or Bitcoin Audible, who is joining us for Simply Bitcoin.
Extra special.
Extra special.
What's up, guys?
But guys, drop us a like and subscribe. We're going to start with the numbers. Here we go.
Clock booty dashboard.
Okay. So we're looking at a block height of 654,599. Bitcoin price, 13,302. Chain rewrite days of 579. And the total lightning capacity, 1,042.44 BTC. I feel like it hasn't moved.
It hasn't. I jinxed it with Satoshi the chicken, Phil. I don't know what happened.
No, it actually went up 20% this month.
This month, yes, but we're looking at it every day, and it's like it didn't move.
Oh no, I'm meaning the price went up 20%.
Oh yeah, no,
the capital on it went up 20%.
Do you think
my channels are way bigger than they were, just 2 months ago?
Do you think that people pull out of their Lightning channels once the price goes up? Because that's what we saw lately.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. I actually have found myself, I've been constantly increasing what I've been doing on Lightning. Granted, I have actually consolidated some channels. Where I'll have a couple of smaller channels. I'll close them out and move something, and then open a fatter channel with Zap or Breeze or something like that. But I've all in all, I have not had to move much. My channels just sit there, and I just keep using them. I'm in and out every day. I mean, I pay 2 people over Lightning, and I do fold on Lightning every day. Every time my brother, my friends, we just went to Florida to see Tom Woods. He paid me back for everything. I paid for everything on my card, and then he paid me all back over Lightning. I mean, straight up, I do more through my Lightning wallets than I do out of my bank account, probably. It's literally comparable. I've been using it fucking crazy since Strike came out.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's absolutely crazy. And do you see that as the future, Guy? Do you see that, specifically in small payments, do you see that as the future of where the Bitcoin network is headed?
Absolutely. I think of this as the unicast layer on top of Bitcoin. In the comparison between Ethernet and TCP/IP, Ethernet is that broadcast layer where it only scales to 100 devices, because then everybody's got to filter through all the traffic just to figure out what was for them. But then you create a TCP/IP to have a unicast layer, and now you only go through the route to get to exactly who you need to get to, and you don't broadcast it to the rest of the network. We're doing the same things with transactions and our connections, our channels, and our bandwidth is the amount of money we have in the channel. And we're creating an internet on top of Bitcoin. And I think it's an entirely new financial system. And I absolutely think this is where we're going. I do suspect that we will need something for micropayments on top of Lightning.
Yep.
Literally a cache layer, like CACHE layer, that isn't actually done exactly the same way as normal Lightning transactions, because it's actually kind of a risk to hold something that's below the fee threshold. So to hold an HTLC, if it costs you $5 to put it on chain, but the HTLC is worth 20 cents, you know what I mean? It's worse to just trust. It's better to actually just trust your neighbor, who you've got the channel with. So I actually think there will be a layer 3 or some alternative mechanism for micropayments. But right now it works flawlessly, and it's not really an issue because cheating is not, I kind of use channels with services that I already kind of have a relationship with, right? I've opened a channel with Breeze and Zap and stuff like that, so I'm not really worried that they're going to cheat me out of my 1 cent payment.
So you're saying, guys, that it's game theory, right? It's more in people's best interest to play by the rules than to break the rules and make a few sats. Would that be correct to say?
Oh, you're muted.
Oh yeah, exactly. I was agreeing. But honestly, I could not be more stoked. I think Lightning is working like a charm, and
Awesome.
With kind of the recent developments that we've seen with Phoenix Wallet and Breeze, where they literally have just hidden everything in the background. Like, these are non-custodial wallets. With Phoenix now, you can receive while you're offline, which using HODL HTLCs. And then Breeze is actually using the same trick to send you a payment while they open up a new channel and push it to you before the channel is even confirmed. So you don't even know that any of this is going on. You can just receive payment, whether or not you have the channel balance or the channel availability or not. I mean, just like so many clever little tricks. And this is like the beginning. Like, this is just finally when we're getting through the infrastructure is solid enough that we can push it into the background, and people can just kind of like plug it in like a router in their house. You know, like, you don't have to know all the shit that's going on in there. Like, there's like 8 protocols working in tandem to make sure this thing works. You just go, you plug it in, and then you go to your computer, and it's like, oh, yay, I got the internet. I think we're kind of reaching that point, but these are literally steps 1 and 2. Like, this is just like finally getting it into the hands of that extra layer of the world that's then going to look at it and be like, all right, well, now that it's just kind of simple to work with, what can we build with this?
Awesome.
And I think I'm so bullish on Lightning right now. It's retarded.
Same here, man. It sounds super awesome. Phil, it's time for
the Daily Fail, brought to us by favorite shitcoin to hate, BSV. So, all right, so Jingles tweeted out 41% of BSV hash doesn't touch transactions. Most exchanges need 12 to 60 confirmations to take BSV.
Ooh.
I mean, like, that is...
The hurt is real. Oh, I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna bring that up in Shitcoin Insider. Our next episode of Shitcoin Insider is probably gonna be about Bitcoin forks and just like all the mess that's going on.
I'll send you the link after.
That is a worthy fail. Shoot me that link.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know what? Quickly, the lesson for this one is BSV is never and will never be Bitcoin.
No.
How could it be, man?
That's my lesson.
It's so centralized. I think people misunderstand the importance of a cryptocurrency, for lack of a better name, but lack of a better word. The reason that you use something like Bitcoin, the reason that you use really only Bitcoin, to be honest with you, the reason they use Bitcoin is for the decentralization. The decentralization is the main component on why you would use something like Bitcoin. If the speed of transaction, whatever mumbo jumbo they try to pitch you, Phil, it's irrelevant. None of these coins achieve decentralization. That's why they're faster. That's why they're quicker, right? And that's a huge thing that they're giving up in the process.
Yeah, and they're quicker on quote unquote confirmations, but they fail to see that the confirmation is only worth something because of the assurances it provides, the degree of irreversibility. And like, you can say, oh, BSV gets a confirmation. Well, it doesn't get a confirmation faster because it's got the same algo. It confirms. Let's say it does. Let's say they cut it down to 1 minute a block. It confirms faster. But if you got 12 to 60 confirmations to actually feel like you're not going to have it reversed on you and that it can't be attacked by spending a couple $1,000s, well, then you don't have any assurances. Who gives a shit if you have a confirmation? It doesn't mean anything. Just confirmations are not ubiquitous. Confirmation with 100 hashes behind it and a confirmation with 150 exahashes behind it are not the same thing.
Exactly.
And the engineering mindset, like the whole concept of why and how they are building BSV, makes no sense whatsoever. Like, the idea that they're going to put the internet on the blockchain, like the arguments that they make, is just mind-boggling. And Like I try to explain, it's like, okay, like if we're just going to shove all this crap into op return, it is not important. You don't have to store this information to run a node. Like why would anybody possibly store it? It's like, oh, well, people will pay them for it. It's like, so, okay, well, so everybody's going to store all of the information on the internet just because they could get paid for this little portion of it. Like, oh no, they'll just prune all the things that people aren't paying for them. And it's like, so they'll just individually run their own servers about the information that they can specifically sell to their customers, and they will ignore everything else, like the internet. Like what? I don't understand. How is it any different?
More internet.
What did you change? Like if that's your excuse, like I just
look. I completely agree with you guys. I would rather use PayPal, right, than BSV. Because at least I know that I could sue PayPal and, kind of get my money back. With BSV, what is the point of using a cryptocurrency for the lack of better name, right? It's stupid. I don't understand that. And yeah, man, that is definitely a good daily fail. Phil, right now it's time for
the daily meme review.
All right, so today's meme is brought to us by Bitstein. Like Guy was saying earlier before I messed up the first stake, there's so many good memes in the Bitcoin space, and this is just one of them. Let's check it out, everybody.
Can you characterize everything that the Fed has done this past week as essentially flooding the system with money?
Yes, exactly.
And there's no end to your ability to do that?
There is no end to our ability to do that.
And we believe that achieving inflation that averages 2% over time helps ensure that longer-term inflation expectations remain well anchored at our longer-run 2% objective.
Exactly. I would bet even in 5 or 6 years, I'm no longer talking about Bitcoin as Treasury Secretary. I'll have other priorities.
You'll be loaded up on Bitcoin and a gazillionaire.
I can assure you I will personally not be loaded up on Bitcoin.
Okay. Never say never.
From a purchasing power standpoint, if you own cash in the world today, you know your central bank has an avowed goal of depreciating its value 2% per year. So you have, in essence, a wasting asset in your hands. So Bitcoin, I think it's a great speculation.
So it was great. I love the messaging. I was a little bit too drawn out for me. And Phil, you know that I have a weakness for laughing. It didn't make me laugh. But I'm going to hold up my imaginary sign because I didn't bring it because I'm traveling. And I'm going to give it an 8.5.
8.5. I'm giving it an 8.6.
Okay, cool.
I really liked it a lot. But to your point, I think it was just a little too drawn out. Just a little too long.
Just a little too long. And what about our guest? What does Guy think? What does Guy think?
What does the Bitcoin Audible think?
8.0.
8.0.
8.0.
8 solid.
Why did it get an 8 solid?
I think that's a great rating. I agree. It's a little bit too long, but it gets me pumped.
Yep.
It's Bitscene's always got the great ones. Laughing does go a longer way, and there's a lot of reading.
Yeah.
So no, it just that's a solid meme. Some of my favorite movies are 8.0s. So
No, I like that. It's good, solid criticism. I like that.
I like it.
Broke it down.
So Bitstein, you got the feedback from us Bitcoin plebs. Phil, it's time for
The Daily News, sponsored by Crypto Cloaks.
We got one main topic for today, and I wanted to cover this with our guest. And again, it's just kind of feeding into what we've been re-emphasizing this for a very, 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 very long time, right? And it's just how central banks are going to start pushing this idea of central bank digital currencies. China, is an outlier in the sense that they're going to try to make everything else illegal. But what should terrify the hell out of you is the fact that you see the government of China having some type of financial surveillance like the world has never seen before. Now, it made quite a buzz on Twitter. Our fellow Bitcoin pleb, Bitcoin Tina, had his own thoughts. China will become the first major coin join and coin swap market. I completely agree. Matt Odell also commented as well. He said, if you think China is going to track their own citizens' transactions, I have a shitcoin to sell you. So, man, there's a lot of thoughts. This is kind of feeding into this whole narrative where central banks, they want to release these central bank digital currencies. They want to use it to collect taxes more efficiently. They want to release it to, release unlimited amount of helicopter money to get people addicted. And man, I think it's extremely nefarious. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this.
I mean, I just... China. This really doesn't, this doesn't surprise me at all. I just think I'm always skeptical of what China does, the same way that I'm sure that they're always skeptical of what America does. So yeah, stay tuned for more drama out of China, and way more, obviously, way more population control tactics to come. That's my take.
Absolutely. So, Guy, do you see this only being a problem in China, or do you see this spreading out across the rest of the world?
Nah, this is going to be a problem everywhere. This is it's really unnerving, in my opinion, but it's also unavoidable to some degree. My worry is that there's not enough inherent liberty and literacy on the internet to protect most people. That most people will be wrapped up into this, and the tighter they take their controls, the more people will get stuck and have no way out because they won't have access to the tools or even the learning to essentially give them a way out. And that we will separate basically into two economies. In the broader sense that obviously there will still be quote unquote countries, but there will literally be a global black market, a global illegitimate market, and a global quote unquote legitimate market that is just taxed to hell, unbelievably surveilled and controlled. And I hope, if you just look at kind of history and markets in general, and you kind of think about the incentives, is that the push to actually move into the quote unquote illegitimate market is actually orders of magnitude greater when stuff like this happens. Mm-hmm. So in a sense, it's actually a good thing for the incentives. It's a buildup of pressure to move in that direction. And my hope, or kind of how I think the reason I'm, here and trying to build and learn these tools and teach these tools and all of this stuff is explicitly because I think we will go the way of, the Soviet Union, essentially. What happened is that they regulated and controlled and constrained and just choked the legitimate markets so terribly in order to squeeze every bit of value out of it while it was dying, that the black market simply became the more productive market. Yeah. It's simply outproduced. It was more efficient because it had real prices. It could actually communicate value, and people essentially had to operate in the black market to not starve. And because they just destroyed legitimate markets. but it eventually obviously led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. The problem is how many people had to die to get there. Fingers crossed we can avoid it, but I feel like there's going to be more movement, more borders changing, more conflict and political unrest, and the general public is not even close to equipped to handle it. I mean, not even this. I mean, it could not be further from them, but it is a massive asteroid that is about to slam into everything, and they have no idea. I mean, they're like, oh yeah, sure, of course, this is exactly what we need, and they just could not even begin to understand what the consequences of this shit is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit depressing, but again, without Bitcoin, without Lightning, without what we're doing here, I would feel completely hopeless.
Yeah.
Luckily, I still think the other side of this thing puts us in a much, much better future. It's just, we got a wall, we got to break through, and the first people to the wall always get bloody.
This is truth, man.
Absolutely, guy. And I always say that this decade is going to be the bloody decade, right? They ignored us first. They called Bitcoin irrelevant. They called whatever. Now they could no longer ignore. And now you're starting to see the internet go after the financial system, just how the internet has gone after every single major industry, like the record companies, like the telecommunications companies. The internet always wins. But that battle in the process is exactly what you said. A lot of people die. So, man, it's pretty crazy. But we'll be here at Simply Bitcoin, holding your hand, telling you guys like it is the whole step of the way. And Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell us about it?
Software releases. Yeah, let's take a look what we got. All right, so BTC Pay Server version 1.0.5.9 was released. In it, they've got some bug fixes, invoices, text search, and pay join. That's going to be in the link down below.
Awesome.
I got to update mine right now. Hold on a second. That's the latest version. Wait, which version? Where do I get my versions on this shit? I can't even find it. All right, I'm just going to hit update and see if it does. All right.
Hey, we're doing something right because we're giving you the latest versions. Phil, thank you so much for that. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Simply Bitcoin. Guys, go check out our guest. He's so in depth. I've never heard so much wisdom in my life. You can go check him out on Twitter. His handle is called The Crypto Economy. I'm going to put that down in the link description. He is the host of two awesome Bitcoin podcasts. One is called The Shitcoiner Insider. Love that name. It's basically Bitcoin maximalists exploring the mess of shitcoins. Love it. Love it. I'm a big fan. And of course, his baby mama, his love, his passion. It's called Bitcoin Audible. We're also going to put that down in the link description. If you guys want to hear some more wisdom, some more true Bitcoin wisdom, definitely go check that out. And of course, guys, don't forget to tune in tomorrow. And if you guys like today's episode of Simply Bitcoin, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys later.